I had prepared a presentation, but I'm going to cut it short today because of the time already transpired. It has to do with Niagara Falls. I knew that the speakers who preceded me today would talk about many chapters of the library and the community. The story of Niagara is told in every sunrise. It is the paragon of universal sunrises, nature's most gifted masterpiece, consummated by poetic sunsets that instill a gentleness of spirit and peaceful calm. It was back in 1678 when local Indian tribes first escorted Father Louis Hennepin to view Niagara Falls. And as he carried his mission throughout the land, he described the sight in awesome terms, amazed at the vast cadence of water, as he put it, and then claimed that in all seasons, the entire universe does not afford a parallel to the majestic beauty of Niagara, around which grew a thriving community of enterprising people that developed business and industry, refining the art of enjoying millions of visitors who came to view the battle and the falls. There have been some changes in the contour of the falls, natural changes brought on by time and erosion. And there have been changes in the city. Let's take a look at the old town, the way Fall Street, which we know now as the Rainbow Mall, and parts of the South End looked a few years ago. In the early days, there was talk of urban renewal with or without government funds. Appeals were made to landlords to renovate their properties, but most of the property owners were non-residents and showed no interest. In the middle of this bustling street stood two beautiful theaters, modern and locally owned, the Strand and Cataract Theaters. The only alternative was to turn to an urban renewal program sponsored by the government. That decision brought a mixture of emotions that lingers to this very day. Fall Street was considered the village green, where all people met and socialized. It was a street where locals mingled with thousands of strangers and business thrived with activity. There are some memories time cannot erase. Fall Street will remain a street of dreams and recollections, indifferent to the transition of age and progress. The railroad depot on Fall Street greeted thousands of visitors in its day, bringing passengers right to the heart of the city. Because the railroad ran right through the center of town, the path now known as the Robert Moses Parkway. The hydraulic canal flowed beneath our streets from the river to the Shalkoff power plant, which collapsed in 1956, triggering plans to construct the Niagara Power Project. The area was dotted with enterprising visionaries who conducted off-track betting long before they became legal. Yeah. Like this store at the corner of Falls and 3rd Street. Now the cornerstone of the Niagara Radisson. But time brought few changes to the architectural charm of the Gazette. The paper's name was changed, but it managed to preserve the footprints of the past while they lost their watering hole, Duger's Tavern, across the street. Where the Carbonum office building stands today, it's expected that name will change very soon. The YMCA moved from 1st Street to its present location on Portage Road. By this time, urban renewal was taking shape in one way or another. On January 29, 1959, a fierce fire destroyed the Gluck building on Falls Street, Falls and 2nd. This was regarded as the Times Square of Niagara. It was a fully occupied, multi-storied building that housed professional and business offices and retail stores and precious archives of the public and private sectors. Reducing to rubble what some considered the major landmark of the city. Some cynics claimed that urban renewal really began with that early morning fire. The first positive sign of renewal came with the groundbreaking ceremony of the Niagara Hilton Hotel in 1973. And Niagara was promised a brand new look, and some would question that look today. It was then that landmarks began to disappear before our eyes, the same landmarks we yearn for today. Some of you will remember. I knew you'd remember that one. Meet me at Tony's, we used to say. Tony Panessa's place. Next door to the Red Coach Inn, the Whirlpool Supper Club, the most fashionable nightclub in Western New York, and where your narrator appeared 6 nights a week with the orchestra. One of Niagara's oldest, known to some as the Hubs Hotel or the Temperance House. That's Old 3rd Street. You know it as the Radisson Hotel. Long established stores shuttered down, and some were buried between mounds of earth. The Hancock building was shadowed by the hand of progress, known as the Winter Garden, the maiden of the new era. The saddest note occurred when our theaters fell to the crack of the wreckers. The east side of 3rd Street was leveled to make way for the Carbonum Center and the Convention Center. In June 1969, it was decided to improve the spectacle where honeymooners made promises to preserve their love everlasting. I will love you until Niagara runs dry. A statement that preceded the world. Well, one day, Niagara ran dry, and the promise was breached. Actually, it was a 6-month project to reinforce the falls and to slow the process of erosion. But we still wonder what happened to those promises. Finally, a whole street died, a legend, a world's landmark. Fall Street was leveled and transformed into a graceful pedestrian walkway christened the Rainbow Mall, hardly yielding the hopes and promises of the planners. My time is exhausted, and I will conclude that portion up to that moment. But I think I revive the memories for a good many of you this afternoon, because there aren't too many times when we have local audiences. Generally, the audiences are mixed. But today, as I looked around this room, I saw people who could trace back to the years that I could trace. And it's wonderful to be in the presence of my neighbors and locals. I tell you, I leave you with a verse that I've included in my book that applies to you. A bell isn't a bell until you ring it. A song isn't a song until you sing it. And love in your heart wasn't put there to stay, because love isn't love until you give it away. Thank you very much.